It's obvious that you listen to this show to hear about and support other people's dreams. But what about yours? What is your dream project? I'm here to help you break through whatever is in the way of your dreams and get you to the finish line. Go to dreamingbigcoaching.com today and take the first step. Literally, it's a button you can click to sign up for a free consultation with me. Let's find out if I can help you reach your goal. Click on Take the First Step. It's that simple to start the rest of your life. Get coached by Rob Southgate at dreamingbigcoaching.com. Welcome back to Go Fund This, the podcast where you find out about the coolest crowdfunding campaigns out there that you definitely want to know about. I'm your host, Rob Southgate, and today I'm joined by Steve Merlo to discuss the Indiegogo for his feature horror film, Unseen. I had fun with this interview. It was especially cool because I found out a friend of mine is actually a part of the cast. We have to help this film get made or Bill will never forgive me. Nah, he's cool. He'll forgive me. Anyway, here's Steve. Steve, welcome to Go Fund This. We've got another horror one here, and Steve Merlo is my guest. We're talking about his indie horror film, and this is a full feature, Unseen, psychological slasher horror film is how you have it described. Unseen is the name of it. There's a sizzle reel, like a trailer on the Indiegogo. You can check it out. I loved it. There's a reason that I invited Steve onto the show. I think this is awesome. People that listen know I love genre stuff. I especially love horror. I am dying to see this movie. And in fact, we're going to talk about your other movie a little bit in a moment. But let's get the business out of the way. This is an Indiegogo. You can go to Indiegogo. You can type in Unseen, or you can type in Steven with a V, Steven Merlo, and it's going to pop up. Or, as we always say, you can follow it in the show notes. I've got it there as well. So however you can get there and share this with people. He's got 40 days left, so we got lots of time. The goal is 40,000. Okay, this is another one where we're dealing with Canada versus US. So when I when I say a weird number, $40,000, 967 is the goal. That's, I'm assuming, not Canadian, right?
Yeah, in Canadian, it's 55 grand.
There we go. And right now you're at 3,233 US. We don't need to convert it. It's what, five grand or something Canadian.
A little under five.
There you go. So you can see he's at 7% to goal. This is a great place to be at. You could totally do this thing, but we need your support. We need you sharing it, telling people about it, and supporting it. So let's get into why. Let's meet Steve. Let's talk about this project. Steve, why don't you tell people who you are, what you do?
Sure. I'm a Canadian indie filmmaker. I have a background actually in music. So I've been a professional musician for well over 20 years. And when I was in my 30s, I really wanted to get into film. I was always writing stories, and then I started getting into screenplays. So it just kind of spiraled from there. And enough people encouraged me to take the director's chair. And so for about 10 years now, I've been making like indie shorts. I made a feature many years ago that never got released because we just technically was not up to par.
Is that the Sawyer Massacre?
No, that's a feature called Follow Your Heart. It should still be on my IMDb. I might release it someday. We tried to make that movie for like $7,000 US. So, and it's like a rough 2-hour movie. Yeah.
That's rough.
So we tried to fix the audio. It's like not fixable, but at the same time, I've gone on Tubi and I've seen how many bad movies that have that you had no sound recorders, attached to them.
Right.
So I'm like, if they're making money off their movie, maybe I should try to make money off of this too. But anyways, I just don't like the idea of releasing something that's not up to par, if you know what I mean. So then I made a bunch of short movies, and then a few years ago, the idea for the Sawyer Massacre really started to gain some momentum. And I always had this idea of like, man, if the cards go my way, maybe I could even shoot this movie in Texas. And at the time, it was kind of just a little bit of a dream of mine to do that, because, I'm from Western Canada and getting to Texas is not going to be easy. But I've always kind of promoted it that way. And I think that's what ended up actually getting me to Texas, because I received so many messages saying, man, you're going to make this movie in Texas. And it probably didn't help. It probably helped my situation, I should say, that they haven't really made a Texas Chainsaw Massacre film in Texas for a long time.
Yeah, right.
At least not the full movie. I think only the original movie is the only one that was entirely shot in Texas. I could be wrong on that, but I've heard that. I've heard like a lot of them did reshoots in LA and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that was a huge that was huge marketing wise for me, because that's where I ended up getting a lot of the crowdfunding for that movie, was people wanting me to shoot this movie in Texas. And of course they liked our pitch trailer too. It helped that we had a good pitch trailer. And but yeah, I just pushed the crowdfunding. We had to do a few campaigns though. Our first one was very modest. I had to learn a lot about the marketing side of things, and but I regrouped, and eventually we got a campaign in demand, and it's just kind of taken off from there. And we released it on YouTube last October, and it's had great reviews. I mean, I'm surprised, because it is a very, very modest budget still. It's still a feature film made for like 30 to 35 grand US.
Yeah.
So. It might sound like a lot to some people, but
it's not
really
for a
isn't.
feature. Yeah,
Definitely not.
Yeah,
So.
I'm really intrigued by it. I'll put a link in the show notes so people can check it out. It's on YouTube,
Sure.
like you said. I wasn't sure when you said there was an unreleased. The only thing I saw on here was this, but it's a fan film, an unofficial prequel to Texas Chainsaw. I mean, everything you're saying there, I'm in. So I'm excited to watch this. So let's talk about Unseen, because I think this is really intriguing too. What is the story of Unseen?
The story, I mean, we have a little log line that kind of basically tells you the story, but and I try not to give too much away, because I want people to go into this really kind of open-minded and be able to interpret things their own way. It's one of those kind of mystique types of films where one person might interpret certain things a different way than another person, and there's no wrong answer. But it essentially follows this man who, in the aftermath of something terrible that's happened, we don't know exactly what it is. It's implied a little bit in the film, but we don't know for sure what that is. And again, up to interpretation. But something disastrous has made this guy crazy. And we follow him in his crazy journey, his delusional journey into trying to satisfy his conscience. And unfortunately, that takes him down this spiral that leads him to this woman who's recovering from an abusive past. He was dating a guy that abused her for a number of years, and she's recovered over the last year and a half or so. And and it just it goes from there. And it's how these two kind of intertwine. Is it's an interesting story. I'll say that much.
I mean, I'm completely intrigued. I liked the trailer that you had on there. It was enough that I was like, yep, I want to see this. Just reading what you just said, you have something very similar on here, and is not giving anything away. It sounds like an interesting ride. It sounds like one I would definitely want to get in on. So I think you've got a real winner here. We just got to get it funded. Once again, support
Definitely.
it where you can, share it where you can. There's going to be somebody else that's going to react the way I am. I saw the some of your posts, because a friend of mine is actually in the movie, which I didn't realize until I was looking through it today. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute, he's in here. But he has posted a few things about this movie, and every time I was like, this looks really cool. And I didn't realize he was in it. I thought he just found this cool horror movie and he was supporting it. That's what anybody can do. Support something that way. Yeah,
that's right.
So he's in it. So he's got a vested interest. He wants it to be seen because he's in it. But in truth, I know that this is a friend of mine who I've seen do this a lot, where he finds something he likes, he finds a crowdfunding, and he just pushes it out into the world to try to make a difference. much like what I do. So definitely be that guy or that person. All right.
Exactly.
Okay. Let's jump into this one. You've got various tiers here. You've got a lot of them. What are maybe, why don't you pick maybe 3 tiers that you think people might be interested in? I'll help you convert the money on it too.
Sure. Well, right now we have our featured perk, which is the executive producer on IMDb and mentioned in the end credits. We have 3 different tiers for producer perks. So the cheapest one is just to be on IMDb as a producer or associate producer or executive producer, and then to be in the end credits in IMDb, and then opening end credits. And IMDb is the most expensive one, obviously, to make it flexible for all those people that are on a budget. They want to be an associate producer or whatever, but they can't afford the whole thing, so they just get the IMDb one. But right now our featured perk is the executive producer and end credits. That's $400 off Canadian. I'll say that much, 32% off right now.
So this is the end
off.
credit associate producer one that you're talking about, right?
Executive producer, actually.
Executive producer. Okay.
Yes,
so
you'll see it as our featured perk.
Okay. Oh, that's your featured perk. I'm going to go back up because there's some things down at the bottom. There it is.
Yeah.
There it is. So it was $850 Canadian. It's $633 US right now.
There you go.
There you go. And that is end credit executive producer. That's a legit credit on IMDb.
Yeah.
Somebody that wants to really get into this world. That's an entry point right there. Supporting indie film and being an executive producer is how you transition. A guy like Michael Lewis Lane, who's produced every Batman movie, he would have been doing the same thing if that existed when he started. That's how you get in.
Yeah.
So that's a great one. I mean, $633. That's a bargain for that.
That's a steal, but it's only available at that price till Friday. So
people so that means I got to post this right away.
You do. Well, pretty quick, anyways.
Yes.
And we also have our signed cast photos. Felissa Rose has agreed to do signed cast photos. She's in the cast, so we got Felissa Rose and Brett Wagner. So you can get signed photos from a number of the cast. Not every cast member, but most of our principal cast basically.
Sure.
Have agreed to do the signed cast photos. What else have we got on there?
I'll tell you the one that stands out to me. I think this one is a layup. You're only offering 3 on here, but I think you're going to need to offer more because I want everybody to do this. I want to keep you busy. Director video chat, $74 US, 100 Canadian. You get to have a private one-on-one chat with you. I mean, come on, if you're a film fan, if you're a horror fan, how fun is it to you pay the money, you get on there, not only talk about the film, but I guarantee you can sit there and talk horror and pop culture and music and all this stuff. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
that is
for sure.
That one right there is a party. So
I like that.
Yeah. So I want that one to fill up really fast. And then you go, I'm going to rethink this. Let's add, 3 more or whatever.
Exactly.
Give yourself something to do because I know you're not busy enough.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then there's just lots of things like one other one that I'm going to bring up is we've got gorehounds that listen. I know that. You've got one that says, give me gore, and 186 US and 250 Canadian. That is, you're the special effects sponsor. So right there, if that gets eaten up, you're talking 750 Canadian in special effects added to this film. That makes a difference.
That makes a difference.
That adds up.
And if it means anything, our SFX artist is Tom Smith of Sick and Twisted Effects, who recently did the Valentine Bluffs fan film. He was involved with the Sawyer Massacre as well. He did some cool props. I would say set design props that we had some hanging arms and we had a face hanging from a hook and stuff like that he did. That was really cool. And he's a great SFX artist, and he's very, very game to work on this movie with us.
So what about stretch goals? Have you got any?
Yeah, we got some stretch goals. I mean, because making a movie at the level of $55,000 is Canadian, of course, and you'll have to always convert the amount to me. But to really get to keep the cast that we want, we're going to need to raise a little bit more money if we want to have better SFX. Which add a little bit more of the gore for those people that love gore. Now, I don't think this film necessarily needs a ton of gore, but if we want to have more than we would do already, that'll cost a little bit more money.
Sure.
Money for a deeper post. Like we do have a list on the Indiegogo that tells you what we would use the money for.
You know what? I'll go through them because I have the cash conversion too.
You have it. There you go.
So once you hit your initial one, Canadian, is 55,000, 40,000 US. Once you pass that, we get to the stretch goals. Stretch goal 1, 70,000 Canadian, 50,000 US. This goal allows you to have a horror icon in our film. All right. So you're looking for a horror icon that you're going to put in there. That is awesome. Stretch goal 2, 85,000 Canadian, 60,000 US. This goal will allow better special effects by Sick and Twisted Effects. Awesome.
Already,
and like you said, it doesn't mean it has to be just a bloodbath, but putting more money into effects, you can just up the realism, up the experience.
Exactly.
Stretch goal 3, and that's all you have on here. 100 Canadian, 75,000 US. This goal will allow us more shooting days. More shooting days means better quality of shots and better acting performances. Boy, you're not kidding.
I'm definitely not kidding about that one. In fact, if I'm being honest with you, I would almost want to make that stretch goal 1 personally. But I know people love their gore and they want a horror icon. So I totally get making those other ones a little bit more of a priority. But for me as a filmmaker, man, having more shooting days, we shot the Sawyer Massacre in 9 days. 9 days. And wow. I can only imagine what we could have done if we had like 20 days to shoot that film, or even 15.
I was in a short horror film where literally they handed me my sides as I was walking up, and I'm reading them and I'm like, okay, when are we doing this? I go, now. And they shot over the guy's shoulder at me. I said my lines. They're like, okay, that's it. I was like, wait, I don't even know what I was saying. Did I do it right? And they're like, oh, it was great. I watched the film back. I think my performance sucked because I was sight reading the thing. My wife said I was fine. And she's super critical. So I guess I was okay. But my collar of my shirt, I'm supposed to be a businessman. My collar of my shirt is like up in the air, like almost touching my ear because they just kind of handed me. I was like, but I went up and I did it. That budget would have allowed maybe 10 more minutes for me to trim.
Jeez, I hope so.
I mean, it was nuts. It was nuts. I mentioned before I've only been in 1. I actually realized that as I was talking. I've been in 2. That first one, though, was so micro budget. I don't even know. I mean, like I said, it was one shot. I was there on set for 5 minutes, and I was like the big get for them because I had all these IMDb credits, and they were like, oh, we got him. But what? So $100,000
that's funny,
or 75 US, that will make a big difference in the quality of this film. So please support it. I know we're talking about a little bit higher dollar amounts, but it is a film. They cost money. But you know what? Even $10. If you and your friends all throw $10 in, eventually that's going to add up to something. You're going to have to get a lot of friends to get us to that $100,000 goal. But who knows, right? Every bit does help. Exactly. And spreading the word is vital.
Yeah. It's so valuable.
Yeah. So, all right. I think we've said it all. Steve, where can people find you, communicate with you outside of just the Indiegogo?
I'm pretty active on Facebook and Instagram at Steve Merlo on Facebook. Usually on the unseen account for Instagram at _unseen.movie. We're on YouTube. We have our YouTube channel, Sequanda Films. I am on Twitter, but I don't have an account for this film. But you can follow me, Steve Merlo, on Twitter.
I've got your links too. I can just throw all those links in the show notes for people too. But really, get in conversation with Steve. Reach out to him, ask questions, give him inspiration, get him to the finish line on this because that's what we want. And this should air. It's either going to be up tonight or tomorrow. I'm going to make a fast turnaround for you. So what would be awesome is if we are over the 10% mark by the time this goes out, and everybody gets active and we get over that 20% mark really fast, because
that would be awesome.
From Steam, and it starts getting featured on Indiegogo. It gets featured on various social media platforms. So the more we can do with that, the better off we can be. Steve, thank you for coming on. Best of luck with this. Best of luck with my buddy Bill Russell, who is amazing.
Yeah,
I'm so glad he's in this. You've got a great cast, and this is just going to be a fantastic film when it's completed.
I think so. I hope so. I know so.
You know so, because if I know so and I'm not behind the camera, you've got to know so. So thanks again, Steve.
Exactly.
Good luck.
Well, thanks for having me.
The Indiegogo for Unseen ends on July 15th. There's plenty of time to help spread the word, so get out there and tell your friends. Go to Indiegogo and support Unseen, and make sure you're spreading the word on social media. Let's help Steve hit those stretch goals. Thanks again, Steve, for coming on the show and sharing this cool project with us. And thanks again for hiring my friend Bill. Bill Russell, you're amazing. Keep making that horror, and everybody check out anything Bill does because he's an awesome guy. If you or anyone you know has a crowdfunding effort about to launch or currently going, send them my way. I love to share these projects and to help people reach their goals and achieve their dreams. You can connect with me through the Go Fund This Podcast Facebook page or via email directly to rob@smgpods.com. You can find a link to this Indiegogo and any other links we discussed, including a link to Steve's previous films, in the show notes. Go Fund This is a production of Southgate Media Group, hosted, edited, and produced by me, Rob Southgate. Thanks again for listening to Go Fund This.